Okay, so I want to talk today about enrolling and recruiting and building the business. So, we've talked about it a little bit over the last few weeks when we've talked about, really how to do a launch. We could use that for a product focus. We can use it to launch our business, to do, like recruiting blitz to try to bring in more people during one time. And that's something I always really liked doing in my business. So I tried to really, I was always in a recruiting mindset, which meant I was always talking about the business opportunity. I was always connecting with people, but I also really liked overloading certain days of the month. That way I could enroll more people at one time that were starting at the exact same point. I found it a lot easier for me personally to be able to train them when I knew I had three people start at one time versus, three people in the month that were totally sporadic and I was working with them at different points, getting them set up. So I found that a lot easier. But I wanted to hear from you guys. We're going to go through some questions first. And like I said, today's training is going to be a little bit more collaborative. So, what do you currently, and you can just post in the chat, what do you do every day for recruiting? I'll give you guys a second. I'm going to pull up to actually the Facebook live on my phone, because those of you that are watching live on Facebook, I would love to hear from you. And if you're watching this as a replay in the Manatech North America group, I also want to hear your answers. All right, there we go. Working with Rapid Funnel, awesome. Using the Rapid PD. And so what are you guys doing specifically with that? So what are some tasks that you do with that daily? Been buying leads and contact each by phone, text, and sometimes email too. Great. So, there's always going to be, I was going to say the phrase, I hate the phrase. It's so vulgar, but like, multiple ways to skin a cat sort of phrase. But there are always going to be multiple strategies for enrolling and recruiting, right? But the most successful strategy is the one that we do consistently, right? The most successful strategy is the one that we do consistently. And so making sure that you are every single day doing something for recruiting, whether that is on social media, whether that is, in person, whether it is, through text or whatever, making sure that that is a daily mode of operation that is a non-negotiable for you, right? Because then you can go, okay, yeah, maybe today I have an hour to spend on it, but maybe tomorrow I only have 10 minutes to spend on it. But making sure that it is something that you're doing every single day, because consistency when it comes to any aspect of business, whether it's social media, whether it's recruiting, whether it's sales or personal development, growth, etc., it comes down to the consistency. There's no special social media post that I can give that is going to make your business explode. It is going to be consistent posts over a period of time where you're building your visibility and you're creating more contacts and more touch points with people. So I love that people are using rapid funnels, that you guys are saying it's really helped with your consistency. It's a really big part of it. And so with that too, it's going, okay, how am I going to continue to fill that bucket, right? How am I going to continue to put people in there? How am I going to continue to reach out? And how am I going to build that visibility for my business and my brand? So let's look at another question. How many conversations do you have roughly every day? You can just throw that in the chat. Just wanting to see, like, also too for ourselves, right? Like, where am I at? I'm taking just a little inventory of some of my business activities. How many conversations do I have in a day? 5. I love that. It's a great number to reach out to every single day, 5 new contacts. And we can do that through, like we said, even last week, people who have followed us on social media, people who bought from us, people who like a post, people who comment on a post. 10 to 15, 4 to 5, sometimes none. Yeah, that's totally like honest, Martha. 3 to 5 per day, says Joe Ellen. Awesome. So I would love, for all of us to take a look at what we're doing and go, is this working? Do I need to increase this? And how are the quality of those conversations going? Again, we're just really trying to establish here, just getting our minds thinking about where am I at and how much more do I want to be doing? And number 3, before we move into some training, is what is holding you back? So, looking at whether it is specifically with reaching out to people or recruiting, or, maybe you've shown up to like the social media trainings for the last, while. Maybe you show up to Emerge, you're on calls with, Tim and Al and, everything else. What is holding you back from implementing the things that you're learning? Just throw an answer up in there. Mute all there so it's a bit quieter for the replay. Give you guys a second. Love to hear from you guys on the Facebook live as well. I know we have some live viewers there. What is holding you back? Distractions. That's one from Joellen. Time, life interrupts things. What type of distractions? Give me some examples. Scheduling time, fear of not doing it good enough. Yeah, that's a big one, I think, for most people. Distractions for Tony too. Yeah, it's, the day can get away from us very quickly, right? Even the week does. It's, I had meant to mail something out to some friends on Tuesday so that they could get it for today. And I'm like, it's already Saturday. And I already missed the boat on that. So distractions, fear of not doing enough, scheduling. So just time management, right? And so when we are looking at how do we want to make sure that we are implementing some of these things, start small, start very simple. And all distractions are equal. They stop me. Yeah, absolutely. Needs a husband, an ailing dog. Yeah, Joellen, you have so much on your plate. So it's finding, I think, too, managing our expectation of our tasks. So it's going, I don't have to spend necessarily, the 4 hours today just working on this. It's finding those pockets of time throughout our day to show up. And that's why I love, especially, who said it earlier that they were connecting more? Was it that they were posting more things or connecting? Was it Tony that said that? I can't remember. But Mary said that. So yeah, you are, showing up a lot more. You're having more conversations, right? And so those are things that can happen in pockets of, 1 to 5 minutes a day. Anytime that you look at your phone, try to create that habit. I need to go check a comment and reply. So it's not about how much we do. It's about how consistently we do it. And that doesn't mean that you have to do it all day, every day. I remember when I used to do a lot more training on blogs, like how do I develop a blog? What is going to create a successful blog, or even a podcast, right? When I'm launching episodes, we can even pull in Facebook Live under this topic. And people always ask, how many should I be doing? Yes, there's obviously, numbers that probably help a little bit more. I've shared in the past that if ever you're really struggling with your social engagement, doing 30 Facebook Lives in 30 days. So doing a Facebook Live every single day can really trigger the algorithm, because you are playing the game that Facebook wants you to, and they are going to boost up some of your engagement. Now, I don't always suggest that. And there's a few reasons why. One, it's a lot of work to do 30 Facebook Lives in 30 days, doing one every single day. And because it's boosting your engagement, if you're not willing to continue at a certain level of engagement, or you have a plan in place, then you're going to do all that work and people are going to be watching and you're going to offer nothing, right? So you want to make sure that you have a plan there. But at the same time, consistency also works, not just in life and business, but also on social media. For example, if you post, if you do a Facebook Live, sorry, hold on a sec. Not COVID, I promise. If you go, okay, I'm going to do a Facebook Live every single week, and you do them sporadically, right? Sometimes maybe you do 0, sometimes you do 2, but let's say for the most part, you're doing at least 1 a week. Maybe sometimes they're on Monday, sometimes, that's funny, Peggy, I saw your little mask come up. Sometimes they're on Friday, sometimes they're on Wednesdays, or at different times of the day. Is that helping your social media to grow? Yes, of course, because you're engaging with the platform. However, when you can pick a consistent time and day to do it, you are rewarded more by Facebook. So for example, if you do your Facebook Live every Tuesday at 11, you're actually going to get more engagement, not only from the platform itself, but you're also going to get more engagement from your audience. Think about your favorite television show, maybe that you're watching. I'm watching right now on Wednesdays, Next Level Chef with Gordon Ramsay. I love cooking competition shows. And it's on every Wednesday at 10 p.m., which is a little late for me, but I still either stay up to watch it or I watch it on Thursday. Now, I watch it every week because I know the time in the day that it releases. Even if I miss it, I know that on Thursday morning or Thursday evening, when I go into my television and I go to the app, that show's going to be there. What would the ratings be like if we never knew when the show was going to come on? Right? You don't know when to show up. You just hope for the best and turn on your television and you miss a lot of things. And then maybe you see an episode, maybe you're watching Grey's Anatomy and you've already missed the last 3 because you just didn't happen to be watching TV at that time. And now you have no idea what's going on. Right? We have to think about ourselves in the same way. And so creating that consistency over time of this is what I do at this time can be really, really beneficial. Now, of course, like most of you mentioned, life happens. Things, interrupt us, right? But if that happens, something really simple that we can do in that moment is schedule another time. Right? And so let's say, for example, you're trying to be more consistent with showing up on Facebook Live and you're doing this every Tuesday at 11, but something happens. Your spouse needs you, your grandkids call, your internet goes down, right? There's so many things that could happen. What should you do next? Simply just put up a post saying, I'm rescheduling the Facebook Live until tomorrow at this time, right? It's about letting people know as a part of that. And if you're, looking at your day, it's just having those non-negotiables. I have a friend of mine who decided that she was just going to wake up 1 extra hour earlier every single day. And she now does all her non-negotiables first thing in the morning before she does anything else. Because she's like, Lindsay, my day gets so I just lose track of it. All these different things pop up in my business that I have to tend to in my life. She's also caregiving for her dad. So she's like, I can't always consistently do the things that I need to do. But I've found if I do them first, I know they're at least done. And it's the non-negotiables. It's not the big projects. It's just that when I wake up, I need to follow up with 3 contacts. I need to check in with Rapid Funnel. I need to follow up with a past customer, and then I can go on to the rest of my day and have my shorter list. One of the things that I remember I listened to a training years ago, and they talked about how women are great multitaskers. How many of you think that you are a great multitasker? Right? And so there's so many benefits that can happen and with multitasking. But a lot of times in our business, it comes to our detriment, because we do too many things at once. A woman's to-do list will often be like an entire page in a notebook. And if a man had a to-do list, it's usually like 3 things on a crumpled piece of paper that they stick in the back of their jeans, right? And so women, we are always multitasking and we're doing so many things, where sometimes men can be too narrow focused, right? We know and I've seen my dad do this so many times. When he was healthy, he'd be working on a home construction project and he would have to go to the construction store, the hardware store 4 times in a day because he didn't think about the scope of the project. He just thought, I need nails right now. I ran out of nails. He'd go buy the nails, come home, do that and go, well, I don't have the right screwdriver for this. He'd get back in the car and he'd go back to the hardware store, right? Because he was so narrow focused on what he was doing. But my mom, what would happen if my mom went to the hardware store? She'd go to the hardware store. She'd have this long list of things. She'd grab everything. And then she'd think, you know what? I'm pretty close to the hardware store and I need to pick up my dry cleaning. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that because I'm really close and I'm on this end of town. So she goes and grabs her dry cleaning. And then she goes, I think we ran out of milk. So now she's at the grocery store and, she's all these different places. She realizes now, I have to go pick up, my sister from school, or I'm going to go grab dinner for the family. And she comes home and she's exhausted and she thinks, I did so much today. And she did. But she never did the thing that she set out to do, was to go to the hardware store to get the tools she needed to complete a project. Because she decided to do all the other things that she felt she could multitask while she was doing it. Right. And so that sometimes it was interesting how they put it. And I could see it in my own life of, yeah, we multitask, which can really bring us off course. And then sometimes there's people, we don't have to say it's just men, but there's personalities that are so narrow focused and zeroed in on what they're doing that sometimes they can also miss the big picture of maybe some other tasks or skill sets or resources or whatever to dos that they should be doing in that moment as well. And so it's finding that balance. So when we're looking at, I'm distracted, my day's getting away from me, I need better time to schedule, start small and try to keep it first thing. Those are your morning non-negotiables. How does that sound for people? Does that seem like, yes, this is something I'm going to try, something I'm going to try to manage a bit better, right? Because we can make all the excuses, all the things are going to happen, right? The day fills up, but we have to decide what is on our to-do list. I only ever have 3 things on my to-do list every single day. These are my must get dones, my non-negotiables. Everything else is let's see what happens, right? And a lot of that too is think about if you feel like your day is getting away from you, look at how many times in a day you say yes and start learning to say no, right? Not everybody needs you. Not every task needs to get done. Yes, it would be really nice if the day that you do the laundry is the day you fold and put it away. But if that's the only task that you have, that you need to either put away your laundry or make your calls, make your calls. I know for me, a lot of times in my life, I've said, well, I just know that once my office is clean and once all my, chores are done, then my mind is free of clutter and it's easier for me to focus on my business. Absolutely not true. I've run out of energy by that point, right? Pay attention to your day. When are you most active? When are you most energetic? That's the time that you need to be connecting with your customers and with your leads. Martha said, our time is like a checkbook. We spend it one way or another and then it's gone. Absolutely. And you have to make the conscious choice of what is it that I want? If you're finding that you're not prioritizing your tasks for your business, come back to your why story. Come back to why is this important to me? Why am I doing this? So Peggy said, my most active and energetic is 7 p.m. to midnight. Peggy, that can still be a great time to work your business. Why? Most people are also busy during the day and they have a lot going on. 7 p.m., we actually know that on social media, the most active time of day is 9 o'clock in the evening. Why? Because people have done all their, they've gone to their job, they've tended to their family, they've done their chores, etc. And what happens at the end of the night? They sit down with like a cup of tea or, they put on their PJs and they sit on the couch, they throw on TV and they pick up their phone. We know that activity is highest in the evening when people are wanting to just decompress from their day. So that can be a great time to reach out to people. Maybe you've gone, Peggy, do you know what? I'm going to try, in the middle of the day or around lunchtime because that's when I think that I should be working my business. But what happens is because you're not your most energetic and enthused, you're not connecting with the right people, right? And in the right way. Even if it's like 11:30 at night, you can still send a Facebook message that's like, hey, I know this is super late and I hope this notification didn't wake you up, but I just thought of you and knew I had to send this message to you. Follow up with me in the morning, take your time answering it, right? So it's using the times that you know that you have to do your best work. Okay. Let us look at some, that wasn't supposed to say company services. Just ignore that. We're going to look at some different ways that we can recruit. So we're going to talk about 4 different sections right now, mostly going to be focusing on one-on-one and two-on-one events or conversations. So when we're looking at building the business, there's multiple ways that we can bring someone into the business. And I really like to utilize multiple ways. Multiple ways to work your business is extremely important mindset to have for a number of reasons. One, you're diversifying what you offer. And you're going to reach different people with different ways that you work the business. Somebody who may not want to talk to you one-on-one may show up to an event that you're having with your team. Somebody who may not be interested at all in doing some sort of home event or a home party or coming to your open house may definitely sign up to attend a Manatech sponsored training event. Right. And so what's awesome too is that not only are you able to reach different people through different avenues, you're also recruiting different types of people, because we know studies show and statistics in this industry show that how people enter the business, write that down, how people enter the business is how they are likely to work the business. How people enter the business is likely how they are going to work the business. So for example, if you bring somebody on through a true health challenge, right? More times than not, their main source of focus for their business is going to be the true health challenge, is bringing other people onto that system with them because they've already done it themselves. They have confidence in the program. They understand the program and the product, and that maybe they have their own success and testimonial story. Oftentimes, people who you recruit through a home event will also continue to do home events. People who you recruit through one-on-one conversations will typically have one-on-one conversations with others. So let's look at what some of these are when we're looking at recruiting and how we can do these online and also how we can do them in person as well. Number one, because you know what, even like when I say in person, we're always using social media. That's why sometimes it's, even when I'm thinking of where I want to go with the training, there's so many things I could talk about that are not specific to social media in terms of, you know, here's how to post this, or here's how to read the analytics for this, is that we use social media all of the time. I think one of the first trainings I ever did with Manatech is I said, we use social media in 3 different ways. Actually, this was at the Rainmaker event. I remember now. We use social media in 3 different ways: to market ourselves and our business, so to talk about what we do; to sell, where we're actually making sales and having a transaction over social media, whether it's in a DM or somebody's clicked on our website; but also to communicate. Right? This is just a communication tool. It's replaced, you know, for many people, picking up the phone or sending a text message. So these can all be done on social media, but even if they're done in person, you'll always be utilizing social media to either communicate or market. So large events. How many of you have ever held any sort of opportunity event with your team or with your leader? So this could be something that's online. It could look like a Zoom where you have certain speakers set up, and your main job is just to bring prospects, is to invite people to this opportunity webinar you're having, or something that is done in person. A lot of people, you know, will rent out a hotel room for this, for example. How many of us have ever utilized an event like that, an opportunity event? Just put that in the chat, yes or no. You can put Y or N. Mary says yes, Sharon, yes. Now, I want you guys to tell me, how successful were those for you? Did you enjoy them? What worked about doing an opportunity event for you? And maybe what didn't work? You can throw that in the chat, or you can unmute yourself as well if you'd like to just share verbally. Would love to just hear some responses to that as we move forward. Mary, I've always enjoyed them, but never got any customers or business partners. Tony said I could get belly to belly. So Mary, I would love to hear so you've always enjoyed them. So did you bring prospects to the event?
I have.
Okay. And what do you think, what happened there?
I don't know. I mean, I always think that your first exposure is, I mean, to Manatech, it's just so unbelievable, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I probably didn't follow up the way I should have. And so, you know, as a result, I guess, I mean, I'm sure it's on me.
And that's okay, because right, we can learn from that and go, maybe this is something I want to try again. but I know this time what I need to do differently, which is like really that follow up and making sure that, and I always, anytime that I would bring a prospect to a larger event, my goal was to get them to sign before they left because I knew that they were the most excited. I knew when they went home, their energy would drop. Right. And this is why when we're having exciting conversations with people, whether it's online or it's at an event, is we want to try to get them in the moment, because what happens is after the fact is fear starts to set in. Right. Maybe they go tell their best friend about the opportunity, or their spouse, or they start thinking about that business 6 years ago that they tried and they failed at, and they hear all these negative comments from people, and it undoes the excitement and the energy. So that's one way that we can work more on opportunity, and enrolling and recruiting, is having a larger event. Now, how many of you have ever utilized home parties, or an in-home open house even? That's something that's pretty popular as well in the industry, of just, hey, like I'm having an open house at my house to talk about the business. Tony says, yes, would love to hear your success stories, or what you felt didn't work for you from here. The point and why we're answering these questions is I'm wanting to make today to a time for you to think, not just to listen to training, but really think, does this work for me? Yes or no? And how am I going to start implementing it? So home parties can be
So,
really great, because, oh, Tony, are you going to go ahead?
well, I was just going to say, home parties, or having people come over, made a big difference. Again, I put in belly to belly. It was very effective. I mean, when you're with somebody, I think you can make a big difference, and so that was very
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah, one of the issues with social media a lot of times is just like the user experience, right? That people don't always know like where to go on a website, or they're not quite sure what to do, and they feel like they're on their own and they're totally lost. That's why it's our job as their upline, is to really support them in that conversation. And I love at home parties, I always call it like the kitchen table experience. It's so much easier to actually get the yes, because on social media, they're one click away from leaving your conversation, getting distracted by something else online, watching a funny video, having a family member talk to them and then put their phone down because they think I can come back to that later. Well intentioned, but they never do. Where in person and home parties has that kitchen table experience. There was rarely ever that I hosted a home party or held one or did one as a consultant, and I had someone walk away without ever even placing an order. It was really unheard of. Now, sometimes I could tell the people that maybe weren't as interested or like weren't as excited, maybe bought one or two things, and they bought a lower end product, right? They felt like I'm doing my service here. This is good enough. I said yes. Now I'm going to move on, which is totally okay. Right. But it was a lot easier to get the yes in person because you're building that connection and you're in the moment with them. So think about, is this something that I can start bringing back? Is this something that I can start doing? Right. It doesn't have to be huge things. I remember when there was a home party that I was trying to do with a host of mine, because I was in kind of more of it wasn't two party plan actually. They were more hybrid, between party plan and network marketing. And so we didn't have like host rewards or anything like that, but I created some just because I knew if I can get a yes from one person and they bring five, that's an easier conversation for me instead of having to go find six, right? Six individual yeses. I'll get one yes and get her to bring five. And I always liked it too because, I was allowing her to essentially role play the business for talking about it with her friends. But I remember I worked with somebody, she had said yes to hosting. And then we were maybe like 3 days out from her event. And she sent me a message and she was like, Lindsay, I'm so sorry. I hate to do this, but I'm going to have to cancel our event together. And I said, hey, like, what's happening? What's going on? Like, let's work together on this. And she said, I had invited all these people and, I had like 8 confirmed, but everyone's kind of bailing on it. And right now, I only have pretty much like my sister who is agreeing to come, and I don't want to waste your time, and I'm so embarrassed. And that was a really important sentence that she said to me, because I realized that she wasn't bailing on me because she was like, I don't like you. She was bailing on me because she felt embarrassed. She felt like Lindsay's going to think that I was a total waste of her gas money to come here for just me and my sister. And so that's an objection that can come up, right, with people is, I don't really have a lot of friends, or, I couldn't really get anyone to say yes. And I said to her, her name's Amanda. I said, Amanda, don't worry at all. Even if it was just me coming to talk to you, it's a lot easier to see the product in person, and you can have, your own personal shopping experience. But having your sister there, like three's company, it's going to be super fun anyways. We can scale it back, just make it laid back. And why don't you go ahead and invite a neighbor, or tell your sister if she wants, she can bring a friend. I went to her house. She ended up with 4 people there, because all of a sudden I said, don't worry, it doesn't matter how many people are there. You're still important to me. She had 4 people there, and I did 1,500 in sales with 4 people. Why? Because I got to talk to each 4 of those people individually and really sit down with them. I was able to go, what do you guys want to do together as a team? You could sit there with like 3 best friends and go, are you all going to say yes to the True Health Challenge? Right? Perfect. Let's do this together. What else can we add? What else are you looking for? You're having that personal shopping experience. And that's when people actually tend to spend more money. Do you spend more money when you have a sales associate walking you through different products in the store? Or do you spend more money when you are, one of many in a line at the dollar store, right? You're just quickly grabbing things, you're getting in, you're getting out, and you're not getting that personal experience. But we're so afraid to have conversations with people online and in person because we think that we're pushing them. We're not. It's customer service. It's making sure that they have all the products. I think I had shared with you another story before about, I went to a candle party and I bought a bunch of votives from this company, but forgot to buy a single candle. And so when I got my order, I was like, these are very pretty votives. What am I supposed to do with them? And do you know what I did? I drove to Walmart and I bought candles. Where, because that consultant was either too nervous to bring up candles to me, or just too excited and missed the opportunity to really look at my order and go, does she have everything she needs? She missed out on a sale, because I would have bought the candles at that moment. It was much more convenient for me. And I was excited about their line, which is why I bought multiple votives, because I'm like, I want multiple candles burning at once. Right. And so we have to slow ourselves down and go, it's okay if I'm only talking to one person. And so when we feel like we get some of those objections, maybe you're like, hey, do you want to come over to my house, bring a friend, or I'd love to, we're about to launch a True Health Challenge in, this month. And, I think there's maybe one coming up soon in a few months. I can't remember, but let's say there's one in June, and you're like working in May and you're like, yeah, I'd love to come over and, do you and your friends want to get healthier this summer, get some stubborn fat off that maybe you've had over COVID. And they're like, yeah. And it's like, okay, I'm going to come over and let's talk about this. We can get everyone signed up and we can create a fun little challenge group for you and your friends. And if they say, I only have one person coming, great. Even if it's only them, right? Because the experience is going to be profitable. Now we also have one-on-one and two-on-one events. So there was something my leader did in my company years ago and was really, really cool. So she held like a recruiting day blitz. And so this was like a two-on-one event. So she said, because she was great at recruiting, she was a top leader in the organization. And she said, what I'm going to do is on Sunday, I am available from 9 in the morning until 10 p.m. at night. She gave us all little booking times. And she said, you can book a call with me or a time slot with me. And if you bring a prospect, I'll recruit them for you. Just bring them to the call and I'll recruit them for you. I'll talk to them. We're doing a 3-way conversation. right? And so she was going, I have the skill sets and I know that not everyone on my team is as good as, they can get prospects and they can get leads and they can make connections, but not everyone can seal the deal. So she said, all right, I'm going to do this for you. And the number of people we recruited that day was outstanding because she was in the zone all day with something that she was good at. And we were really excited. It was when I was like brand new to the company and I was afraid to even have those conversations. So I brought a prospect and she signed up on the spot because it was easier to hear it even from her to a leader. And so these are things that you can do. You can have these one-on-one conversations that happen on social media that you schedule a call for. Remember last week we talked about every conversation you need to get a yes. There are no no's. There are only yeses. The yes, of course, the best yes to get would be, yes, I'll join the business and yes, I'll buy the product. But if we don't get a yes to those, what are some other yeses we can get? Yes, you can follow up with me on Friday. Yes, you can send me more information about the opportunity. Yes, you can add me to your Facebook group. Yes, you can add me to your funnel or email list. Right? It's how can I get the yes and keep nurturing this relationship? Always go for yes. Right? We heard that always go for no because it takes 9 no's to get a yes. But what if we went for yes? Right? Instead of going no problem and walking away. So a one-on-one and 2-in-1 events can be done on social media. They can be done on Zoom. They can be done in person. I've seen people do very similar to what my leader did at a coffee shop. Right? I've shared before. I used to go to a coffee shop every Friday when I had my direct sales business, and I just posted every Friday. I'm at the coffee shop. If you have any questions about the business or working with me, I'm here from 9 to 12 p.m. every single Friday morning. Come chat, coffee's on me. Most days I had nobody show up. So I just drank coffee and worked. But some days I did have people show up. And guess what? It took them consistently seeing me post to show up. Not I just tried it one time and gave up because nobody showed. They had to see it over and over and over again. Like, she's still doing this. She's still going. And so I've seen people do the same thing. A leader go, I'm going to be at, this second cup from this time to this time. Bring your prospects. One time it worked so well that I had 3 different people who didn't know each other show up to Starbucks. As I was at Starbucks doing it. And I always tried to grab like a bigger table in the back. And of course, like if after a little bit no one showed, I'd let other people sit there. But we actually ended up having those 4 of us sitting at this large table at Starbucks. And I talked to them about the opportunity. And I said, are you guys ready to get started? And they were like, yeah, we think so. Because now they even had each other's energy. And so I said, great, I'm going to go Facebook Live right now while we're getting you guys signed up. And we're going to cheer you on. And I had other people from my organization commenting on my Facebook Live being like, woo, like, welcome to our team. We're so excited. And I made them, they thought I was crazy because we're in the middle of Starbucks. I have all of my makeup spread out all over the Starbucks table. And I have my phone set up on a tripod in the middle of Starbucks. And we're on live and I'm welcoming them to the team. And I'm sure they thought this chick is crazy. And so did everybody else. But guess what? They were so excited. And to go home and rewatch that live and see all the comments from other people, in my team, it made them so excited. And those, out of the 3, 2 of them became my, 2 of my top leaders in my organization. Because guess what? They duplicated the process. They started going to Starbucks. They remember how you recruit people is often how you'll bring them in. So make it simple. Make it simple, right? And you try different ways. Yes, large events can be really, really exciting and they can really work. And there's a lot of energy. But you want to make sure that you have multiple ways because not everyone's going to go. Maybe, even Mary, in your case, they went to this event. They're like, this is so exciting. But they're like, this is overwhelming. I could never do this. I don't have people to invite to this. I could never put on an event like this. I have nobody that I think would come. I don't have anyone local that would show up to something like this. I have more friends that are cross country, right? That's when you offer additional services. They didn't sign up that night. Great. How can I move them now into a one-on-one conversation where it's just easier to get them started so they know I don't have to bring people to events all the time? No. You can just send a message. You can just connect with friends. You can have a home party, right? Or you can come to a company training. I love bringing prospects to company training because it puts them in the seat of the consultant right away. I did this with the prospect that I had. We had an outside speaker come in, a leader put on the event. I was just an attendee of it. And I said to someone who was on the fence, she could not decide. She was somebody who was like on my lead list that I reached out to. I swear it felt like every day, but I'm sure it was like every 2 weeks or something like that. And she always had an excuse. She always had I'm going to wait for next payday, or, there was always something standing in her way. And so I reached out to her and I said, hey, I know that you have been a little, dodging pulling the trigger on starting the business. Right now it's $99 to get started, but there's an event on Sunday and it's only $10 to attend. I know you may feel scared about spending that 99, but does it feel safer to spend 10 and come check out more about who we are? Yeah, do you know what? Okay, yes, I can do that. I'm like, great, I will pick you up. So that I knew if I didn't pick her up, she was not coming. So I drove to her house, I picked her up, I brought her to the event, and I made sure when she got in that car, I said, I got you a little something. I had ordered a little like merch tote bag from my company that had our logo on it. I had a notebook in there for her. I had a water bottle with our logo on it, and I had a pen because I wanted her to feel a part of the culture when we got there. And I told her, wear purple. We all wear purple. So we showed up. She fits right in. I'm introducing people. Oh, this is, Rachel. She is considering joining our team. And she sat there and she didn't have to just listen to how do I start a business? What is the comp plan like? She listened to a day of training. She listened to how do I reach out to people on social media? How do I launch or relaunch my business? What are the 3 things that I must do to have a successful checkout? We actually didn't talk pretty much at all about why someone should get started. We talked about just how to be successful. And she looked at me and she said, I could do all of that. Because what the mistake I had made was just talking about the business over and over again. But to her, she was like, I'm not as personable as Lindsay. I'm not as extroverted as she is. I don't have as many connections as she does. She listed all these things in her head of why it wouldn't make her successful. But when there was a speaker on the stage saying, here's how you turn 3 leads into 100 really easily, she was like, I could do that. And she signed up right there. And we all celebrated her. The whole room like applauded her, right? And so sometimes it's utilizing different things. My one-on-ones weren't working with her. Doing a home party or anything like that may have swayed her if she saw that her friends were interested. But again, she had one of those excuses all the time of, I don't really have very close friends. I don't even know who I'd invite to my house. Some of these things, right? But when she came to the training and she saw that it could be simple, then she was like, I got this. And she signed up. We have to have multiple ways to connect with our leads and try different ways of bringing them in and be consistent to that. Make them feel so special. Make them feel excited. Me giving her that water bottle and that tote bag made her feel a part of the company before she was even a part of it. And then she got to use that. And I knew when she's out and about, she's going to be drinking from that water bottle or, using that tote bag. I used to walk around. I bought a fairly big tote sort of bag, and I always kept my wallet and different things in there, and I would use it for as a purse. But on the whole front of the bag was a zipper with a clear pocket. I always had a little postcard in there that said, I wish I still had it, or maybe I'll try and find a picture that said, ask me about what I do. And then I had actual products in there on display, and I had earn income selling mascara. And I walked around and people could see it. And every time I'd go somewhere, I would put it up so everyone could see the front of it. I had my social media handle nice and big, and people would ask me about my business. They would always be staring at it because they're like, what is this? She literally has like lipsticks and mascaras like on display in her bag. I knew that like I had to, something as simple as like wearing merch, whether it's going to the grocery store or going to the gas station, or you're doing a Facebook Live, right? Have those things placed and that you're wearing them. There was a speaker that I worked with for years, and she sold, which I thought were just like, I'm like, these are so weird. No one buys these. And they were Swarovski pins that said business is great. And I thought, who's wearing these and how are these working? And I would go to events and they were bought like crazy. And then people who had already bought them would come up to her table and say, I wore this at a networking event, and I'm usually really, really nervous to walk up to people. But people saw this like sparkly pin that said business is great. And they said, oh, so your business is great. Tell me more about it. And I thought like such an idea that I think is like so silly. And that's why I actually started doing the bag thing, right? Because I was like, I'm not wearing a business is great pin. Like that seems so like weird to me, but it really did work. People are curious by nature. You have to always be ready for business. You don't have to work your business 100% of the time, but you always have to be ready. So ask yourself, do you have on your phone easy access to your comp plan? Do you have easy access to a video to send somebody to right away? Do you have marketing materials in a little tote in the trunk of your car? Do you have business cards that are clean and not sticky with like, you know, candy you threw in your purse? Do you have those easily accessible? Right? Do you have a Facebook group set up? No matter where you are, how easy is it for you to onboard somebody? Because even if you're not working all of the time, you should be open for business because you're going to meet people everywhere, right? So always go into a situation. I brought those things to even like, I don't even know, like friends' birthday dinners and stuff. And like people would always ask me, like, what do you have going on here? Or do you know how many times something like that, especially around like friends of friends, that would say, I actually ran out of mascara. Do you think I could buy that one? Because they were all like still wrapped. Do you think I can buy that one in there? Yeah, sure. Here you go. Right? Nice and simple, nice and easy. What are you doing to draw attention to your business that doesn't require so much more of your time? We think only of the big things. If you need to run out all day because you have errands and you're like, there's like barely any time for me to sit down and follow up with my leads. Great. Just make sure you're wearing a Manatech shirt the whole day you're doing errands. Make sure that you have business material on hand. Make sure that if you met somebody in line at the grocery store, that you can get them plugged into something right away on your phone before they even finished checking out and paying for their groceries. How ready are you for business? So I have a few quotes here for you guys. So this is Vern Harnish. He says, a leader makes things easy. How true is that? A great leader makes things easy. So when we are either onboarding somebody new or we are teaching somebody on our team how to enroll, we need to keep it nice and simple. We all know that duplication in this industry is key. It needs to be nice and simple that everyone can do it. And there's another quote here that I have by Michael Gerber that can sound off-putting at first, but he says the most successful franchises, so he talks about franchises a lot, but I still thought it was really relative, are successful because they've been designed to be run by the person with the lowest level of skill. That doesn't mean the person doing that task has a low level of skill, but it means that anybody should be able to do this. So you look at, I love the 2-on-1 events or conversations. I love the like, could you pick one day a month where even for 4 hours, 2 hours, you were available for some time slots for your team, where you said, all you have to do is book a time slot and bring a prospect. You're not asking new people on your team to go do exactly what you're doing, especially when they're new and they may not have the skill set. Some of you have been with this company for decades. You have been in business for decades. You have developed a skill set over time that they may not have as a brand new person. How can I make this business successful and able to be run by the person of the lowest level of skill? It's go have a conversation and bring them to me on Saturday. That's it. You don't have to recruit them. You don't have to figure out what to say to them. You don't even have to deal with any of their objections. All you have to do is get them to say yes to meeting with me. Nice and simple. Some of us may be great at recruiting and enrolling people ourselves, but when you look at maybe your downline, you're thinking, they're not bringing on enough people. My organization is only growing long. It's not growing wide. I need it to grow wider. I need the people that I onboard to build their own teams. I need them to be bringing more people. So take the skill sets that you have and offer that up, right? So that things can be nice and simple for the people that you have. Because remember too, how people, one of the I can't remember, I'll have to find the statistic, but it's number one reason that, because the DSA does a lot of different questionnaires, the Direct Selling Association, and different focus groups and things like that. And they found the number one reason why people quit within 90 days, which is sort of that like sweet spot for a new business. Number one reason why new people quit their business in the first 90 days is that it was harder than they thought it was going to be. Number one reason is they thought it was harder than it was going to be. Because a lot of times we, during our marketing of the opportunity and sharing information, we tell them how simple and easy it is to get started and to build a business. And then oftentimes it's not. Look at your own systems as a leader. Am I making this overly complicated for my new members, for my new enrollments? Can somebody with the lowest level of skill be successful? Absolutely. Manatech has so many different systems that you can plug into, right? Doesn't mean you need to utilize all of them. Doesn't mean that you need to be doing every single thing and wearing yourself thin, but pick the one or two different systems that work for you. That's why Manatech offers so many different ways to work the business and so many different things you can plug into, whether it's Rapid Funnel or Penny or Bill Walsh training or me or Sona or Tim or any of these sort of different things. There's all these options available. And it's because we know that different people need different things. So you get to choose what's going to work best for me and how do I make this really nice and simple for the people that I bring into the business. So some simple recruiting skills that we can utilize. Obviously follow up, right? We want to keep this nice and simple. What are some other ways? Put this in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come out of presentation mode here. And I'm actually going to, how do I do that? Here we go. I am going to add some in here. So what are some other simple recruiting skills? We've talked about a few of them. So of course we could do, Facebook Live, right? That's something that we could do and ask people to do. We could invite to a two-way call. What are some other simple recruiting things? Coffee shop, love that. Coffee shop, one-on-one. Let me see some other ones. Have a good dialing finger. Yes, get on the phone. Rapid Funnel. Get team involved, yes. share my story. Yeah. Here, I'd written one down. What else we got? We have testimonials from customers, referrals, running out of space here. Okay, we got so active listening. Martha says, really listen for their problems. Invite them to a global connection call. We have manifest. What else? We have oh, there's so many. Well, we pull from some of the things we talked about. We have home parties. We have open house. Invite to an opportunity event in person. Right? So the point of this too is, and I want you to continue this list and thinking about it, is that there are so many simple ways. How many times do we overcomplicate it, or we try one thing that doesn't work and either we give up on that one thing, or we think that one thing is the be all end all and we do that thing over and over again with no results, right? Mary said she's tried to bring people to events before, couldn't get them to sign. And she was like, yes, I know that probably some of that is on me with my follow-up, right? So Mary could do it again and follow up better and see what happens. Or she could also go, that one didn't really work for me and maybe some of the people that I bring. I'm going to try one of these other things, because there's a lot of different ways that I can reach people and keep things nice and simple, right? And the keyword is simple. Don't overcomplicate things. Sometimes larger events can get overly complicated. It's why I only ever suggest a team does them like 1 to 4 times a year, right? So you could do them every 6 months or once a quarter. Some people do them just once a year with like the launch of a new year or a new catalog, something like that. But the remainder of the time needs to be consistent daily efforts. And we run out of time when those efforts and those tasks or those habits we're trying to create are too complicated, right? So let's go back into presenting this. And I want you guys to keep thinking about that. What are some simple things that I can do? There was one I was about to say a few minutes ago and I've totally lost it from my head. So if I remember it, I will share it later. Okay, simple. So just to revisit some tips from yesterday to kind of close, or from last week to close out. You know, when we are trying to develop, enroll people, we obviously need what? Leads. We need people who we can chat with about the opportunity. So some little scripts here for you, and you guys will have access to this. Hey, name, I'm reaching out to say thanks. So to say thanks for so much for commenting on my post about this today. How have you been? We talked about that last week, right? Thanks for sharing your comment. Or if they just liked the post, last week we said to say, hey, I saw that you liked my post about this. I really value your opinion. Would love to know what you thought about it. Ask more questions. Really simple, easy opening line. Here's another one. Someone who just maybe sends you a friend request or a follow. Hi, blank. Thanks for sending me a friend request. How did you find me, and what questions, if any, can I answer for you right now? To be of service. Someone walked into your store. Would you just look at them and walk away? Absolutely not. You'd say, hi there, welcome. Can I help you with anything? Treat social media like it's your storefront. Welcome people when they come. Pay attention when they interact. Ask them for feedback and advice. Provide them information. Hey, thanks so much for popping by today on my social media. I saw that you checked out my Facebook Live. Just in case you missed it, I want to let you know that we have a special running on right now with our company. That's what someone would do a sales associate would do if you walked into their store. When somebody shows up on your social media, they're walking into your store. They're saying, hey, I'm here. So don't be afraid to have that conversation with them. And let's quickly look at some objections that might come up. But one thing I will say before we get into objections is only ever answer what they ask. Do not get fancy. Do not overshare. If they say, I don't have enough money, talk about money. Don't start talking about all these other things. Be very specific, right? Because we don't want to overwhelm them. And sometimes sharing too much information can actually talk someone out of joining because they start considering things maybe they didn't. So don't get fancy. So different objections that we probably hear. Number one, I need to talk to my spouse. That's one that comes up a lot. And always just either, have a response for that. It could be something like, it could be cheeky. It could be something like, oh, with my husband, I've just learned it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission, right? It could be cheeky like that. Or it could be, I love that you check in with your partner about that. My partner's really supportive of my business too. And I knew that when I started this, I wanted us to do this. I wanted to feel supported. And I know that, and so I really respect your marriage in that way, right? You could compliment them on that. If you have some a value that's really important to you and it's important to your customer, it could be, why don't you guys pray over it? That's what I did, right? Have those conversations. So it's not about going, what do I say to this? Or, oh, I'm going to lose them here, because a lot of times we can lose them when they talk to the spouse. But that's why it's quick to go, yes, definitely talk to them, but get the yes. So why don't I follow up with you tomorrow? Does that give you enough time to talk to your husband or your wife? Sometimes you can also say yeah, I'd be happy to if they want to pop on a 3-way conversation with us and I can answer any questions the both of you have. People who have spousal buy-in have higher rates at being successful in the business because they're not met with resistance at home. Right? And so it is important to have that conversation. And so talk directly to the source. Yes, I'd love to talk to you and your husband about this. Why don't we set up a call tomorrow? How about after dinner? Is that enough time for you or whatever, right? And can I send you some information right now on how to get started? Because they need something to also talk about. So send them the information. You can also say, why don't I also send you, we can follow up tomorrow, but I'm also going to send you how to get enrolled right now. If maybe you go talk to your husband tonight and he's just as excited as you are and you guys want to get signed up right away. Here's exactly how to do it. Give people the information they need to make a decision, not to talk about a decision, but to actually make the decision. Another one is money excuse, right? I don't have enough money, or, this I think is a lot of money, things like that. What are some things that you could say to somebody who has a money excuse? You can say, yeah, it is a lot of money. You can agree with them and be like, yeah, it is a lot. I agree. But this isn't going to be the first or last time you spend money on something that you didn't expect to. Or you can say, do you know what? I thought the exact same thing when I first started. But when I priced it out and I realized that in my first 30 days of business, this business would only cost me $10 a day, I realized, if I cut out just my coffee and my bagel every morning before work, I can make this business work. Have some of those things in your back pocket to say. It's less than $10 for your first 30 days. Put it into context in ways that they can understand. Right? So that you have to practice objections. I've shared before, one of the things Grant Cardone does with his team, right, every morning is they practice objections with each other before they get on a call. So write them down when they pop up and have responses ready to go. So it's nice and simple. Objections, people who've failed before. Oh, I've tried this and it didn't work for me. Right? Okay, great. A lot of people have failed before. What do you think makes Manatech different for you? What skills did you acquire from those last businesses that will make you successful? Oh, Lindsay, I tried this other company before and I failed miserably. What did you learn from that experience? What mistakes did you make? Would you not make again? You have to just go into every conversation understanding that people are resourceful and they are intelligent and they have skill sets. It's your job to remind them of that. I failed at every business I've tried, Lindsay. Awesome. What mistakes will you make sure you never make again? Well, I won't overinvest in product that just to have at my house. I'm definitely not going to do trade shows again because I spent a lot of money at booths on trade shows. And, I spent so much money on Facebook ads before I ever had just one contact. Great. Let's not do any of those things in this business. Here's some other ways we can get started without you having to spend anything else other than your enrollment fee. Ask them, what did you learn from that? I love that. I love that you're willing to try new businesses. What are you not willing to do again? What things did work for you about your last business? Well, I did like this and that. Great. Let's make sure we do more of that in this business. It's learning to coach people, right? And remind them, you have to go in and go, this person is capable and resourceful. Even when they tell me they're not, my job is to ask them questions that remind them of that. And not the best time. That's another one. That's not a good time for me right now. When is? We're always going to be busy. And I love working with busy people because busy people are great at prioritizing. Busy people tend to see more people and really, Mary, at the end of the day, that's all this business really is. Your job is to see the people. Manatech does the rest. And as a leader, that you keep everything nice and simple for your team. So you can say once a month, or twice a month, I even have a day where I will recruit your prospects for you. So it's your job just to invite people there. And, until you build up more confidence and more skill sets and you have more time for the business, but there's never going to be the right time to start. The best time to plant a tree was yesterday. The next best time is now. Right? So it's having those answers ready for them. But really, really coming from the place, like I said, of these are capable, resourceful people. And I just need to remind them of that. And no matter how you respond to the objection, and you know what? Next week, let's talk more about objections. How about we do that? We do some more, I can share some more scripts of if someone says this, what do I say here? We can get a bit more nitty gritty there and we can practice having more conversations on social media. And what I want you to do too then is for this week is I want you to go have way more conversations than you've had before this week. And I want you to bring to me objections that you have. So you don't even have to worry about overcoming them necessarily, right? We talked last week about what is something you can say if you don't know the answer. That's a great question. Let me get back to you. You could even say, do you know what? That's a great question. On Saturdays, actually, we meet with an expert in our industry, and I'm going to bring this question to her. Even that right there says, wow, Manatech really provides them with a lot of different resources. I don't have to know everything. There's other people that they bring into their team to help us. So I want you to bring me objections, but always make sure, can I tell you what info I need to get you started? Because you're moving them towards action. It's not just about giving that information, it's moving towards action. And so think about in terms of action, what are some 3 things that you're going to take on today and tackle? Number 1, reach out to more people. 100%. What are some other things you could do? And we'll wrap up. I know we're a few minutes over, so I apologize and appreciate everyone's patience. I actually thought this would be a shorter one, but I like when we talk more and have a bit more engagement. So we're going to talk to more people. Some other things that we could add to this action list are, I'm going to do less things in a day. Most of you told me you get too distracted, which means you have a lot going on. What are the 1 to 3 non-negotiables for me in a day? I'm going to show up more and do more posts as Tony. She's going to be more consistent. Right? And she's going to do those quickly. Do not overthink them, right? Don't sit down and go, oh, how do I make the perfect post? Just start posting, just start sharing, right? And look at your business. How can I make things more simple for me and my team? How can I make things nice and simple? So Next week, we're going to talk about objections. We're going to do some role playing. I'm going to share some scripts. Okay. And then what we're going to do is, yeah, you guys will be able to bring some to the table. So have them ready to go. Do not pass up the opportunity to have me help you with some of your real-time conversations, not just fake fantasy conversations, but people you're actually working with. So go make those connections, go start reaching out. We've gone through the examples. People, if they friend request you, if they've been a past or current customer, if they comment on a post, if they like a post, somebody that you just think that you want to reach out to, go have those conversations, bring them back next Saturday, and tell people to come too on your team, maybe that have had a hard time enrolling. Say, come, Lindsay's going to work with us on objections, and you can actually bring some to the table. Sound good? Awesome. Well, as always, thank you guys so much for your time, especially that we went a few minutes over. And I say this every week, you guys always give me so many endorphins and boost my energy so much. And today especially was a day I truly needed that. So thank you guys so much. And I will see you this week in Emerge and next Saturday on our call about overcoming objections. Awesome. Have an amazing rest of your weekend. Keep your to-do list small. Bye, everyone.